What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast, Bonfire Talks, with me, Mark Walberg, and my friend and producer, Caelan Bean, is sitting back there behind all the equipment I don't know how to plug in.
It's good to be here, Mark.
Good to have you here, my friend. I'm always glad to sit across from you and talk to all of you guys with Caelan listening in so I can codependently look at his face and see if what I'm talking about matters or not. So
I am sitting right behind the camera, so I never know if you're looking at me or if you're looking at the audience. I like to think it's me.
I think the audience says the same thing. Why is he not quite looking at us? I'm really just searching for your approval at everything I do. All right, guys, let's get into it. I woke up the past few days, and my inner dialogue has said this sentence: "You're a coward." And that's uncomfortable to say. Here's what I mean. The recent horrible, horrific murder that we all witnessed of a political activist doing what he feels is right has shook me to the core. I'm a coward because I'm not going to tell you where I stand politically. I feel as though I'm a coward because I have somewhat of a platform where I could be an activist and tell you how I feel about government, politics, the Constitution, the rule of law, the judicial system, the separation of church and state, all of the things. So I don't think I don't have a very clear and distinct opinion of all those things, but quite frankly, I'm a coward because if I speak about it, I risk my job, I risk my audience, I risk all these things. Now, those people I admire never once thought about those things. They were called to a greater purpose. And I feel the same calling. But if I were in a place, this is such a horrible cop-out, but if I was in a place where I had millions of dollars in the bank, which I think some of you think I do, but you got the wrong Mark Walberg there. I'm still on the grind making a living, okay? I have things to lose by speaking out. So I had to really take a step back and first of all say I don't like the negative talk I'm saying about myself. So let's stop that. Let's stop that coward talk, that judgment talk. It's not serving me. It's not serving anybody around me, okay? And I've been pretty miserable to be around ever since this horrible thing went down. So it made me reflect in meditation. I got a platform, I have a voice, I have an opinion. I certainly have political opinions to the point where I have often considered, do I want to get in the fray 100%? Do I want to be one of those podcasts where I just pick a side and go as hard as I can? There may be a time where I absolutely let it rip because God knows I let it rip every day. I respond to somebody on Facebook. I'm old enough I still look at Facebook. But every day I respond, like write a treatise, this incredible piece of prose, right, along the lines of the Federalist Papers or Thomas Paine, like this level of dissection and reflection, and then I delete it. And why do I delete it? Because I don't think I've changed anyone's mind about anything ever. So I want to start by telling you my hopeless take on things, and then I'm going to then hopefully share with you my plan for my own sanity and what I think I can do, what I think I can do to be proactive in some form of activism. Okay? If there's a way to do that without picking a jersey, which I think has been my entire brand in my whole life. I've said it before. You know, Caelan and I play a lot of basketball and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you know, there's a foul, there's a call, somebody says something, you know what's wrong, and you want to fight, and you get all in it. And one of the things I've discovered about myself is I don't have the ability to access blind rage. For me, even when I'm in the right and the person I'm angry at is in the wrong, or at least my opinion is that, I can't divorce myself from stepping into the shoes of my opponent and forcing myself to see things through their eyes, which then takes all the fight out of me in the moment of understanding that whether misguided or influenced by their past, the position they've taken to be either be dishonest or have an opinion that opposes mine, I can relate to. And while I think I could spin this as a noble thing that, oh, look at me, I'm so thoughtful and caring about others that I can really stand in the shoes of my enemy and love them through it, I think it robs me of the release of just going, fuck you, right? And just rage without logic. So, to that end, where does that leave me? So the hopeless part I mentioned is that I'm not so sure we as a society, and I'll stick to the United States because I don't know if this is the same everywhere else. I don't know if what we're going through is fixable. We may be beyond repair. It's been a slow, integral, and character decline for decades now. This is a little too on the nose, but let me just tell you, like where I noticed it first. When I was, and I hate to be that dude, when I was your age, blah, 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 but when I was in high school and a fight broke out, a couple punches would get thrown, a crowd would circle, there was certainly a lust for the fight, but ultimately, good acting people would jump in and break up the fight. You knew that was what's going to happen. It's actually been a trope on many movies, like even, I don't know, the movies where they're like, I'm just going to throw a punch and then somebody will break it up. Dazed and Confused, the character does that. I'm going to throw a punch and then everybody will break it up and it'll be over, right? But that's not what happened now several years ago in our society. What happens now is a fight breaks out, something crazy happens, and we all pull out our phones to record it and post it and laugh about it. We have desensitized entirely. We have lost our North Star character-wise. We have forgotten how important it is to know right from wrong and then act that way for real. So I often wake up, as I did this morning, saying we're beyond repair. If we don't even have an understanding of tolerance, an understanding of forgiveness, an understanding of reconciliation or connection, then what are we even doing except spiraling further and further and further? And so politically, and I'm going to dance around this as best I can, because my lust to keep you as listeners to my podcast is greater than my courage to take a stand. So that leaves us where we are. The left is moving. It's like the expanding universe. The left is moving lefter, and the right is moving righter. And I hold both of you in contempt. When we went through a big upset in my family, one that could have broken my family apart, okay? There was a right and there was a wrong. And if you asked one side of my family, they would tell you the right. And if you asked my side of the family, it would be exactly opposite, and we were right. And I remember in that moment, this goes back to my not being able to actually be angry, fully angry. I remember saying to all of the parties involved, you may be right, I may be right, but where does that leave us? What is the solution that works? What's the outcome, not solution? What's the outcome when this drama is over that works? And I don't see it. And I said at one point to all parties involved, which was my daughter, my son, and my wife, and me, and a boyfriend, is I am no longer concerned with who's right and who's wrong in this situation. Here's my intention. I may have said this on the show before. My intention is a Thanksgiving where I wake up and my house is full with my son and my daughter-in-law, and whoever's with my daughter at the time, whoever it is, and maybe some kids, some grandchildren, which I don't have, but hopefully we'll have. And my intention, what I want as an outcome, is that I'm sitting in my chair, fat grandpa, watching my family enjoy one another, laugh, watch the Macy's Day Parade, and just hang out together. That's the outcome I want. And this division of who's right and who's wrong doesn't get us there. Where it gets us, folks, the right and wrong thing, gets us with someone being temporarily right and vindicated, and it leaves the other person with a grudge that needs to be avenged. So we're in a cycle of I won the battle, now you win the battle. I'm right, you're wrong. With every time someone is right, we make someone else wrong, and if someone is made wrong, they will avenge that wrong to be right again. That's not the outcome I intend. So, what do I do with my platform? What do I do, not as my platform as a TV celebrity or whatever, or this podcast, with the 20 of you who listen regularly, but my platform as a human caught in this time that we're in that is unprecedented, where horrible things happen. Recently, a horrible thing happened to a political activist, a guy who absolutely dedicated his life to what he thought was right. Okay, Charlie Kirk. And then he was gunned down for that. And then the fire began. Well, the fire had been lit, but now the flames are just burning. It used to be that when things happen in America, like 9/11 or Pearl Harbor or, any horrible thing, it shocked us into remembering that we're all together. And the best version of America showed up, where we put our differences aside to unite behind a horrible tragedy. I think we're beyond that now. I'm afraid that every time there's a horrible tragedy, we're going to blame the other side. Where does that leave us? Not in a good place. So, what can we do? Well, I'll tell you what I am doing. What I am doing is silently and privately voting my conscience to make change politically and legislatively that I believe in. And I support all of you to do that for whatever you believe in. I am voting with my pocketbook, supporting the companies I can support and not supporting the ones that I feel are not in line with my beliefs. And I support you in doing that. But more than that, what can I do? Am I going to stand on a freeway with a sign saying, hooray for my side and the other side is evil? Yeah, I'm not doing that because I am telling you, as I watch both sides do this, no one is changing anyone's mind. And I don't believe there's going to be a catalytic moment that's so huge that we're going to come to our senses, because I don't think we have our senses. Going back to the pulling out your phone to watch a fight. Our senses are, wait, don't fight. Talk it out. That's what we were taught. That's what almost every religious doctrine would tell you to do. We don't do that anymore. We don't do it. You don't do it. I don't do it. And we are used to watching horrible tragedies on our phone as part of our feed. Like, not just, oh my God, did you see what happened? Definitely being curated for us as much of it as we can, and we love it. We have a lust for the violence. We have a lust for the extreme. We have a lust for the anger. So I don't think we're going to fix that right away. I don't think we are teaching the new generation of kids coming up every day a clear understanding of tolerance, patience, right and wrong, and all the things that we used to know to be true. Your word matters. Character matters. Those things. So I'm a coward in the sense that I know I have a skill set that I know how to use the English language to make my point. And I have an empathic ability to feel my audience in a way that allows me to communicate in a way that often transcends the divide and we can hear each other. And I know that if I want to throw my hat in the ring politically, not to run for office, but to be one of those people who pontificates on end about right and wrong, the Fox News Channel, MSNBC pundits, I can entertain the fuck out of you. I can make a lucid point. I can argue why things are wrong. I can do my best to show you how the other side is blowing it, whatever other side you think I'm on.
And not only that, but get a lot more clicks doing it.
Oh, and make myself rich.
Exactly.
I can make myself rich in that pursuit, and I'm going to blow my own horn. I could be really good at it. Really good at it. I'm convincing. But you know what I've noticed? And it's not an epiphany. The people who watch Fox News watch Fox News. And the people who watch MSNBC watch MSNBC. So you're yelling at your own people who agree with you, and you're convincing no one of anything. And the few times when I hear any of these pundits go, you know what, I was wrong, I can't count them. So what do? What did me, the other Mark Walberg, do for my own sanity to continue to be the guy I want to be? I'm going to put it in the worst context ever, or the strangest context ever. I'm about to go on the road to do Wheel of Fortune live. Now, at first blush, with the depth and heaviness of what I've just laid out in front of you, of what I'm going through emotionally, and that I know without even talking to you, you're going through it too, in different ways, okay? How can Wheel of Fortune live tour make any difference to anyone ever? And how am I hosting it a part of anything bigger than a bullshit game show? In this way. Yesterday I did like 7 or 8 interviews, press interviews, to sell tickets to this tour I'm doing. And I stumbled upon a phrase or a thought that I said, and I saw lights go on the people that were interviewing me. So I'm going to share it with you. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's what is happening. This is my shred of hope for us. When people come to see Wheel of Fortune live, I travel all over the country. I'm going all through North America. I start in Canada. I go all across Canada, which, by the way, I could do an entire topic on how things are culturally in Canada as opposed to the way they are here. God bless you, Canadians. God bless you. But here's what I've noticed and experienced. People come to see the Wheel of Fortune live show because they are fans of Wheel of Fortune. It's been on for 40 years. It is part of North American culture, okay? It's comfort food. But why do we watch it all the time? That and other shows like it. Because for the time that it's on the air, all we're doing is trying to solve that puzzle, okay? We're not thinking about politics. We're not thinking about religion. We're not thinking about right and wrong. We're not thinking about avenging deaths or things like that. We're just solving the fucking puzzle. And from a cellular level, after our day of work or our day of worry or our day of struggle, we're taking 30 fucking minutes with a glass of wine or a cup of coffee or your dinner and half watching a game being played. And what that does for us is give us a respite for a half an hour where we're not thinking about everything else and game planning and arguing and carrying the weight. We are simply solving puzzles and taking a breather. That alone has value. But here's a bigger takeaway. I show up to a theater, And it may be in Nebraska, it may be in the Deep South, it may be in New York, it may be in Canada. Everywhere we go is a different demographic. And you feel it. Oh, you feel it. I was doing it right after COVID, and I would go on stage and go, oh, thank God we can do this again now that we passed this COVID thing. And literally somebody stood up in the audience and said, we didn't have that here, right? We didn't have COVID. That didn't happen. Respectfully, if that was your experience, cool. But what I'm getting at is the audiences that I see, they're political. They're wearing their hats, they're wearing their jerseys, they're whoever they are. Right? It's either, a rainbow flag or a red hat or whatever your jersey is. People are still wearing them. But when they come to this show for 90 minutes, none of that's in the room. None of it. And 2,000 people are sitting next to each other, shoulder to shoulder, having no problem with one another. It's like for 90 minutes, without them even knowing it, they forgot which trench they've dug into. They look next to the person, look to the person they're sitting next to, and they go, I love the show, you love the show. Do you solve the puzzle? I can solve the puzzle. Ha, ha, ha. It's a shred of something we can agree on. For 90 minutes, people sit in those chairs, and they agree that they love to watch Wheel of Fortune. I'm not sitting here promoting Wheel of Fortune, you guys. I'm just telling you, there's a possibility that even in the most innocuous places, in the most inane or mindless, puzzle game places, we can have a shred of remembering that even with all our differences, there are still things that we can enjoy together, that we actually can come together. I know that sounds so simplistic, but it's true. For 90 minutes, I get to be an instrument of bringing people together and reminding them subconsciously, it may not sink in or not, that it's still possible that we can remember that we are humans first and red and blue later. So when I keep looking at what can I do, there may be a time where I am in a place where I'm like, fuck it. Here's what, let me rail against those that I need to fight the good fight, and let me support those and be those people that are singing the song of peace and righteousness and justness. There may be a time. I may be that guy. But right now, that's not that time for me. Right now, the time for me is to say to you, do me a favor. Find an hour of your day. It can be in 10-minute increments or whatever, where you find things in common with the people you hate. Hate's the wrong word. Find things in common with the people that you disagree with, the family members you've unfriended. Find something to talk about, something to share, to remind us that, in fact, we do like each other. In fact, we are all genetically cousins. And this division gets back to this thing I said before. You want to be right or do you want to be happy? Because when you play it out, this division politically that we have, if one side wins and the other side is defeated in the war of whatever, where does that leave you? Is that what you want? I think a lot of people do. I think there are a lot of people that would like every liberal to be gone. And I think there are a lot of people that would like every conservative to be gone. And if that's the case, we're unfixable. But is there a shred of you that doesn't want that? Is there a shred of you that in your quiet times wishes for, as I wish for, a time that I can't remember where we were all on kind of the same page on most things? Back to that living room metaphor. My intention. My intention is to live in a place where when I go to a huge gathering, I'm not scared. My intention is that when I see somebody at a coffee shop or somewhere else that looks differently than me, I'm happy to see them, and they're happy to see me. My intention is to live in a place that if I get a flat tire, somebody might pull over and help me. My intention is like in Hawaii, if my bike breaks down, somebody with a pickup truck is going to stop by and pick me up and take me to my home, which happened several times in this last trip to Hawaii. My intention is not to be right. My intention is not to fix us politically. My intention is for me to handle what I can handle. Look, today I'm going to walk through this planet. I'm going to do my day. Menial shit, right? But everywhere I go, I'm going to run into someone. And right now, I'm in a place where every time I run into someone, I'm assessing and sussing for myself, are they on my team or some other team? By the way, I don't know what fucking team I'm on. That's what's really upsetting for me. I'm not on either team. But as I go through my day today, I'm going to run into people. And I have a responsibility for the space we share. You have a responsibility for the energetic space you share in every moment, on the freeway, in the Starbucks, at school, at work, wherever you are. You have a responsibility for the energy you bring of anger, of domination, of being submissive, of being fearful, of withholding. All of these things you can choose. Or you can choose to be the intention of connection, the intention of seeing the other person, the intention of tolerance for their point of view, even if it's absolutely misguided, and put it under the heading of, we don't know better until we know better. Keep the hope alive that the people that we are so sure are evil in this world are on a journey of discovery for themselves that may take forever, may take into the next life, may take a minute, but it's not my job to force their change. And more importantly, if I want change, a better way to force change is tolerance. A better way to force change is acceptance. A better thing to say to someone I disagree with, rather than, what the fuck are you thinking, is, I understand you feel that way. That must be difficult. Let me take a look at that. What would happen? You realize that what Robbie says, the great guru Robbie Walberg, that when you're in conflict and there's a fight, when there's drama, it's a game of catch. They're throwing the ball at you. You catch the ball, you're in the fucking fight. If somebody throws the ball at you and you don't catch it, it's not a game of catch. It doesn't exist. So don't catch the football. Just say, I understand. And then try to be the energy of acceptance, forgiveness, and peace. That's the best I know how to do, you guys. I am at a loss for anything else, because I think if we're going to repair the much bigger issue here, which I've spoken to, that we in general, what we're witnessing now, this division, this insanity from both sides of illogic and doublespeak and lies and justifications and hoaxes and conspiracies, and then changing the story and then changing it back on both sides of the aisle here. If we look at that as a symptom of what I spoke about earlier, this desensitizing of or distancing ourselves from what we know is right and wrong about humanity, about how we're supposed to live, about how we're supposed to be civil with one another, right? Like, remember when your parents told you that if somebody was bullying you at school or wants to fight you, don't fight them, just go tell somebody and then, use your words. What we're witnessing, this division, is not about the division. It's what we bred by desensitizing and forgetting what it is to have character, to be your word, to be kind, to know the difference between right and wrong and then do it. And more importantly, a much bigger lesson, the most important lesson I've taught my kids, is when you're out of integrity, when you've made a mistake, when you've wronged someone, to own that and clean it up. Wow, what would that be like? How would it feel if your leaders said, hey, remember that thing I said? I was wrong. Remember that person I told you to hate? He may have a point. What would happen? What space gets created if that's your point of view? Now, I got to be honest with you. Again, if I ever step into the political arena and give my point of view, I'm going to point my finger at some shit. I'm going to point out some absolute hypocrisies and doublespeak and lies that are going on as fast as they can go on. But like I said, me pointing those out to the people who agree with me isn't going to do anything to get me closer to us living the intention I have for us, which is walking the street feeling safe, happy to be together, being excited when I hear the national anthem, knowing that my friends of alternative lifestyles are safe in their homes and their beliefs because it doesn't affect me. If that's my intention, it's not going to come by me pointing my finger or showing you how I'm right and you're wrong. It's going to come from me going, aren't we bigger than this? What can we agree on? Don't you know that I love you? Even when you vilify me, which has happened. Even when you put words in my mouth, even when I make a statement which is meant to bring us together and you point out how all of my kind, whoever my tribe you think I'm in are the reason everything is bad. In the face of that resistance, I have to double down on, I understand. I'm sure you feel that way. I understand. Because I don't know what else to do. I truly believe that other than my vote, which I hope matters, other than my financial purchases going to places that I feel are doing the right thing, I don't know if my screaming and yelling from the rooftop and my marches and things like that are doing anything more than having the people that agree with me more, and the people that don't agree with me hate me more. That doesn't get us anywhere. And it's out of the same mouths of those who are preaching a certain gospel where I hear things like eye for an eye, fuck them, celebrating on both sides. Look, this is as close as I'm going to get to an opinion. The people who've celebrated the horrific killing that just happened, it's unconscionable to me. It's a lack of humanity. I don't care what you think about any person. What happens, no one should have to be murdered for their thoughts and their words. And at the same time, when somebody that you hate, who you really believe has ruined our country and is no longer in power, lets us know he has cancer that's going to kill him, and you say, I'm glad it happened, but then vilify those who say, I'm glad this happened, check yourself before you wreck yourself. I'm not a Christian. My religious beliefs encompass many, many religious beliefs. I like to love thy neighbor. I think that's a good one. Even if you don't like your neighbor, you can love your neighbor. And just ask yourself if the action you're taking, those posts you write, those screams you scream, are they changing minds and helping? Or is there a better way to affect change, which needs to be much more cellular than voting in a new person or voting out an old person? The people, everyone involved is not going to get us there, which then makes it bigger than we can deal with. So again, what I'm going to deal with is just my world. Everyone I come in contact with, I'm going to have to radiate somehow an intention of a future that I am hell-bent on. And it may not happen. But I'll go to my grave trying. And the way I know how to try is by listening, being a source of love, doing my best to forgive my enemies. Challenge. If I'm going to rail and scream, I rail and scream to myself alone and don't put it out in the world because it's not making a huge difference. And I know those of you are going to say to me, you're being an absolute coward, as I've said. You're not taking a stance. And you're right. You're right. But I don't think that kind of activism suits me because I can't see an outcome that serves us in screaming louder. That's it. That's all I really got to say. Caelan, anything you want to add?
I have a solution that no one's going to want to do or do.
Let's hear it.
Get off social media.
Wow.
I mean, I really think that you said earlier that this problem has been going on for decades. I don't think it's been going on for decades. I think it's been going on for about a decade.
I think it's true.
And, I mean, you're not going to get off social media. I get that. I'm still on social media. But, like, just be on it less, which is even harder. All the division, all the separation, it's all because of social media. All these people that are writing these things on social media to change other people's minds, they're not writing it to change other people's minds.
They're not even people.
A lot of them aren't even people. They're doing it to get that out for them. A lot of what you're seeing online are just bots that are stoking your anger. And we all, because again, I am very cognizant about, okay, I need to stop. I need to put social media away. And I try to do it constantly. And I fail constantly, but I keep trying. But we do it because we're bored. But we're supposed to be bored. You're supposed to be bored so you can stop and think for yourself for a while and be bored doing it rather than having all these voices either anger you or excite you or any of those things.
Say that again, but it's not boredom. It's not boredom. It's deflection and avoidance. We don't do it because we're bored. We do it to think about something else.
Yes.
This is what I was talking about in the last episode about boundaries and safety and risk. We do it so that we don't ask ourselves the harder questions. We don't sit with ourselves in silence.
Yes.
That silence is more than we can deal with. So and it's gotten to the point where, and I am such a victim of it, I can't even watch a TV show. I'm on my phone while watching a TV show and having a conversation with my wife. Right? You're absolutely right that it's not all social media. It's not all social media. That sure doesn't fucking help.
There's a lot of good things that social media can do. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, of course.
But these days, I'm feeling more like social media is doing a lot more harm than it is doing
good.
Good.
And here's what's difficult about that, Caelan, for me, is that in the collapse of news media, and in my opinion, it's a collapse. There's no Walter Cronkite. There's no objective, non-biased, information-only source that we can access at all, right?
Right.
So social media is a place where that could exist.
And I want to be clear about social media too, because you're talking about, yes, the networks going away. I do not consider podcasts to be social media. Like, there's a lot of news sources or podcasts that you can listen to. I don't even really consider YouTube to be social media. That's a place that a lot of people are watching now in place of those news sources. Right. I don't consider any of those things to be social media. So what I'm considering is hurtful social media.
Yeah.
Or all the posts of people arguing and all the violent videos that you're seeing on Instagram. All
that
the people
are maybe AI sometimes. It's that far.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. What I'm getting at is because my callous, jaded opinion is that all of the, I'm not going to use buzz phrases because they'll just keyword me into hell, but what was our source of news, newspapers and news broadcasts that were not advertised on, that were 1 hour a night, that we trusted as the truth, right?
Yeah.
We can't. It's just opinion, always opinion. It depends on what channel you listen to and who you listen to. It's not news. It's not just the facts. And in social media, it's far worse. Not only do we have anybody who is anybody saying and spewing their belief system and backing it up with facts that they've created, right, from publications that don't exist. And more importantly, even forget the AI, forget the bots, the half a quote out of context that forms our opinion, that's the devil, right? Now, podcasts where conversations are happening, full form, long form, without edit and stuff like that, I think there's some possibility there. And there are things in social media that I am drawn to that fill my soul with hope, music and art and stories of people saving animals and things like that. So there are some things, but you're absolutely right. The content in social media is absolutely subversive, a lot of it. And you spoke to something when you said the boredom thing that's even a bigger issue. The content itself is a drug of addiction of the worst possible stuff. And our addiction to it robs us of the meditative silence we need for clarity to get back to what I was talking about, which is what's right and what's wrong here.
Yeah.
Check yourself before you wreck yourself concept. The wait a minute. The slow yourself down to process things and think what is the outcome you want, not the right or wrong of it. And you're right. The speed at which we get information, or more importantly, misinformation, 90% of it is just either half-truth or completely untrue, and we formulate our entire allegiance based on that. That's the end of us. And that's really where I'm at, you guys. I think it's the end of us. So out of the ashes, who do we become? Out of the ashes, who do we become? And so when I'm sitting grappling for anything to give me hope, Wheel of Fortune Live gives me hope. It gives me hope that there are still 90 minutes in a day where people can sit in a room together, focus on one thing that they love, and enjoy it together. It's as simple as that, I think. I don't think it's going to solve all of our problems, but I think it's a lot better use of our time to think about the things that we can enjoy together than the things that we have to pick a team. And to that end, I'll be posting all of this on my social media. All right, I don't really have much more for you guys. Thanks for listening. And I hope you hear this from the place where it's meant that, I'm just trying to... Look, here's the thing I always try to do. I try to share what's going on with me in hopes that it connects with what's going on with you, right? And know that even if you are one of those people who thinks I'm part of the problem and not part of the solution, I love you too. You get to have that feeling. You get to have it. I love you too. I'm getting a call from spam. So that's far more important than me rattling off more here. So I'm going to answer my spam call and see if I need solar on my house. And, or maybe, somebody's in the area that can redo my roof. I love you guys. The thing I would say is it starts with you. It starts with me. What can we do today to be less division, more connection? Connection is the answer. Division is the devil. All right. That's it. Bonfire Talks. I hesitate to say this, but if you want to give me feedback, let's go. Let's go. I'll do my best to take the criticism and grow from it. But that's it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I'll be back next week with more of this, and I hope it's something that changed your day a little bit. Caelan, anything else?
That's it.
Thank you, buddy. Let me start with you.
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate you, and I thank you for what you do for me. And,
Likewise.
And thanks.
Thank you.
And we've never talked about politics, so, you know.
Yeah, I'm not one to talk about politics.
That's what I love about you. Right. Be like Caelan and me. Okay. All right, you guys. Thank you very much. See you next time.